Okay, so Sean, kind of talk about like a brief summary of um, your struggles, everything you went through before you made the decision to make a change in your life.
Yeah, I'm an alcoholic and a very high functioning alcoholic for many, many years. Played in a band for many years called Great Big Sea, and we were the best party band in Canada. And every night was Friday night for us, and I was a world champion Scotch drinker. Um, and I certainly used alcohol to probably not realizing, but to bury some deep-seated problems. I was in denial about my alcohol problem, and I was using it to medicate and to not face uh, some real problems that needed to be faced. I left the band and stopped drinking almost 4 years ago, or 3.5 years ago now, and I thought that would solve the problems. And I'm still sober. Everything was going well, and I thought I'd kind of moved on and made the necessary steps, but I was still in denial. I came to do a speaking engagement about helping yourself. I made a record called "Help Yourself," which was about my transition into being alert and awake and sober, and living here in the real world as opposed to the world I would find in a bottle. And I came to talk about that to London in last year for the Addiction Services brunch. And I didn't know Polly or Tiffany at that time, but there was two speakers, Tiffany Rose and Polly O'Byrne, who spoke before me, and they both had experienced sexual abuse in their youth, and I have too, and no one I hadn't spoken to anyone about it. I didn't want to face it, and but when I heard them speak, I knew that I was in a room full of people who would be willing to listen to that truth. So I shared it then, and for me it was a bridge that needed to be crossed, and I had been in denial about it, and I think it was one of the last big impediments to my success. I'm really glad that I was at that event and that I heard them speak, and then I of course shared my story for the first time, and it became news and all that, but fundamentally changed and helped me understand where my real problems were coming from. So I owe them both a great debt, and what I've learned, I'm not a victim. I'm a survivor, and the enemy is denial, and that is what has to be faced. And everyone carries some form of denial, I believe, with them. And I've learned that you can't move forward and deal with problems without facing them. And from now on, I seem to be drawn now, if things are hard or difficult to do, I see that as a sign that they must be done. And all I can say is, if I've learned anything, it's that these things can be accomplished if you're willing to face them down and do the work and be real with yourself. And you're not alone. And that was the big thing I learned that day. I wasn't alone. Polly was there, Tiffany was there, and there was 600 other people there that were sympathetic and understanding of that and ready to listen and hear that truth. And that's what I know so far.
Um, Back in your days of drinking, did you think it'd be possible to live your life sober?
No, I really didn't. All my friends are big drinkers. The industry is a big drinky, druggy kind of place. Honestly, it is a big party that never ends. It's a delusional spot, and I became very, very used to that, and too used to that. I'm also from a fairly drinky culture, from St. John's, Newfoundland, Irish descent, very pubby. There's no negative stigma attached to drinking too much. It's just okay. We'll get better and start again. But it's all about, for me. It's why do you drink? It's all about for me, and I think many people, whether they want to admit it or not, it's about hiding from something that's hurting. It's an anesthetic.
If you could go back and talk to yourself in the way you are today, go back to talk to yourself, say 5 years ago, 10 years ago when you're in it, what would you say to yourself? What wisdom could you drop to the younger version of yourself that couldn't see beyond Friday night?
Well, if you feel the desire to have every night be Friday night, then you got to ask yourself why, and because every night isn't, and it's in the form of escapism, and I believe it is a form of an anesthetic. So, what is the injury you're trying to, what is the pain you're trying to deaden? And by and large, people don't want to. It's the kind of truth that you don't want to face. It's uncomfortable. It's still uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for me to talk about it now, but I'm gonna, because I think it's important that it's important that I don't let go. Like I've owned it, and I think if I had anything to say to myself as a younger man, it'd be like, wake up. Don't be afraid. You're not alone. You can do this type thing. And it might sound a bit cliched, but it's all about doing the work. And you got to wake up before you go to work.